How's everyone doing? Let me just grab this clicker. So, you know what one of the most fun things is about presenting in front of an audience like this? It's you have to hook them with the very first start. So you can give them a very stupid fact, like, did you know there are more people alive today than have ever died? This is an actual fact, by the way. You can Google it. But now that I got your attention, the session is going to be 30 minutes of me talking about absolute bullshit. Automation is different for everyone. Automation works different for everyone. So there's no one size fits all. I'm just going to tell you guys how I scaled. A little bit about me. I am a 7-time Microsoft MVP. I am the CTO at Lab Networks, and I am the founder of CyberDrain. Created a little app called zip.app. Sure, a couple of you are at least familiar. Used by about 8,730 MSPs worldwide, managing 2.7 million tenants. Oh, by the way, it's free. Also, recently, I actually got a new title, which is very awesome, but pretty much meaningless. I am now a Microsoft Regional Director, one of 137 in the world, where I discuss automation stuff directly with the Microsoft board, like Satya Nadella and Mark Russinovich and all of these awesome people. Anyway, let's get started. So I'm going to talk to you about hopium. This is actually not a term that I coined. It is something that a friend of mine once said, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it, because I'm going to talk about the effect that hopium has on your automation department. A little bit of background information about my MSP. We are about 80 FTE, 85 employees. So a couple of people are part-time, very boring. We didn't start huge, of course we didn't. We started the same way that everyone does. A couple of guys in university wanted to make money, and we figured, you know, IT is easy, let's do that. Then we rolled into the MSP space, and we've regretted it ever since. And it's funny that we're giggling about that, because, yeah. Anyway, we hired brilliant people, experts in their field. We started our automation journey about 15 years ago. Back when PowerShell was pretty much the only automation you've had, or Python, if Linux was your flavor, but PowerShell was mostly it. We actually had a lot of high expectations. We never voiced them. We never told our automation guy about our high expectations. We practically didn't tell him anything. We just said, like, here, go automate, have fun. Hopium. We hoped it would end up well. We hoped it would end up perfect. That was not how it worked at all. Because even though we got an expert in his field, like this guy knew PowerShell like the back of his hand, he didn't have any process or procedure around how he was supposed to actually start automating. And that was weird. It was weird because we as IT guys, we should know about this. We should understand that long term, you can't just let engineers go off on the deep end. One of the biggest surprises we've had when we hired this guy was that he wasn't getting any results in his first couple of months. And we were like, what's this guy doing wrong? Did he lie to us about how well he automates? No, he didn't. We were lying to ourselves about how good of managers we were. Talking to him, we actually found out that we were the people making mistakes all along the way. Which brings me to my next subject. Getting the right butts in chairs. We didn't get anything done. We didn't get anything done because we weren't the right people to actually acknowledge how we're going to scale our automation. We weren't the people that were actually going to tell this automator on what he needed to do. He needed to hear from the people suffering from the things that we wanted him to automate. So what we did was we took a step back. My partners and I, we were like, you know what? We're not going to talk to our automation guy anymore. We're going to ignore him as much as we can, because we're really good at ignoring things. We're management, of course we're really good at ignoring things. We told the automation guy, like, you know what? You go to our administration department. This was one guy at that time. We were tiny. This one guy walked over to the automation or the administration department, started talking to them and asked them, like, hey, what's the thing that you do most every day? And the lady goes like, getting coffee. Guy didn't want to automate getting coffee, which I still really regret because I would love to have a cup of coffee automated right to my desk. Anyway, he started automating a process for, I'm not even sure, oh yes, for receiving receipts from anyone who was on site somewhere. So an easy way to just get like reimbursements and things going. And that was the first time we actually understood that by making sure that the automator is going to the right place, and the people managing him aren't actual managers. The people managing him are people that are actually experiencing specific problems. That was a trigger for us to actually understand, like, oh, hey, this is something that we need to do. But that sort of rolled us over into an entirely other section inside of our company. And we were 10, maybe 12 people total with one automation engineer, and we thought we were the shit until Automation Fair. And Automation Fair is very simple. Who here has ever thought, I love interactivity, by the way, so I'm going to make you guys raise your hand and do exercises and all of this kind of stuff. So let's try one time. Everyone raise your left hand just for fun. Okay, everyone now raise your right hand just for fun. And now wave them around like you just don't care. Awesome. God, I hate myself. Anyway, you can raise your hand now if you've ever understood automation fear. And automation fear is the process of being afraid for your job because, well, what am I going to do when everything's automated? Has any of you in this audience ever thought like, holy crap, I'm automating myself out of a job? Okay, I see a couple of hands up. That's actually like one of the things that one of our engineers was worried about. Fear settled in. They noticed, well, the guy noticed, at that time one guy noticed that it was actually not that good for him to automate everything. He started noticing like, wait a minute, if I automate this, and let's take a step back into the mindset of the time. We're talking about SBS 2008. We're talking about having to execute specific commands after updates to make sure that SharePoint backup would start working again. SBS was a wonderful product. Who here used SBS? Raise your hands. Yeah, exactly. Everyone loved it, right? It was so amazing. It never broke. It always worked. It followed all the best practices. It was amazing software. And this guy was like, oh yeah, but I'm spending about 20 hours a week on this. This is, if I automate this away, holy shit. My job is on the line. He started being so worried about that. And then came the next problem. Because he was worried about that, he started automating less. I mean, you know the solution that you have as a manager of a company or an executive in a company, you go like, you know, the one solution to this guy not performing his work is hiring another one. Yeah, that didn't go so well. We hired a second automation engineer. He started working. It went fantastic for a couple of months. And he started doing some extra L2 work, and he was enjoying that L2 work, and then he came to us saying like, yeah, I'm not gonna automate this. Go fire me after. So our management meeting, this was actually the title of our management meeting at the time. How the hell did we get here, and how do we get out? And I spoke to my partners, and we were like, why are they so afraid of losing their job? And we understood that it was entirely our fault again. Like, we are shitty managers. We were technical people, and like I said, this is, our company started about 20 years ago. This is 15 years ago. We were still fucking around and finding out. How the hell do you survive this? We started on making sure that our entire team, our entire super large automation team of 2 people, started understanding that their job would never be on the line because we would always find something else to automate. And they were like, yeah, but eventually work's gonna run out. Having to explain to them that their entire career was going to transform from being a level 2 engineer that clicked around on a very old server to being more of a orchestrator that is making sure that everything is running smoothly was a hard explanation at that time, because in the industry 15 years ago, how many of you were actually actively looking at automation as the solution to all of your problems. Again, you can raise your hand, or you can raise your other hand, and you can, if you have them both raised, just shake them around again. That's only a couple of them. Also, by the way, you look really stupid when doing that. Just warning you. Jobs would never be on the line. That's something we had to explain to them. We had to explain the evolution to them. We had to explain that when they are that orchestrator, they also have a different type of responsibility. They're no longer a level 2 engineer. They're no longer a part of our regular team. And that was a hard thing to say to them because they were like, oh no, yeah, we are. But we needed them to understand that they were outside of the scope of any of the daily operations. And we actually told them, from now on, you are no longer going to do your L2 work. You're actually just going to automate and nothing else. We told them this, and the moment we did was somewhat liberating because it was one of the greatest fixes that we had. We started actually scaling our automation at a pace that was unbelievable. How many of you have seen my blog, cyberdrain.com? And if you heard from the front row people calling it my blog, that is an online gag that keeps happening. No, it is not. So a lot of the scripts that I've published on cyberdrain.com was stuff I've discussed with my engineers where it was just a little inkling of an idea. And I figured, you know what, I'm going to write a blog about this too. I'm going to get just as invested because I am a technical guy. I'm currently still the CTO at my company, and I love bragging about how I'm the most technical guy in the room. I love bragging about that, but it's no longer the truth at all. I was sitting in a session during a migration not too long ago with both these automators and other guys. They were working on a project. Complex, hard. And you're all wondering, like, where's this guy going? Where's the point of this? Well, I'll get to it. I just like telling this story. Anyway, hanging out with them in teams, little war room type situation, everyone's working, super technical conversations going on. And I unmute myself and I go like, hey guys, maybe you should do this, this, and that. Lead engineer on the project unmutes himself. And I could hear the frustration in his voice, like a big sigh before he said anything. And he said, Kelvin, maybe it's better to leave this up to the technical people. That was painful. The reason I'm saying this is because even though I blogged about automation for so long, I make a tool that's based on automation. I had nothing to do in that room anymore because the automators and the specialists about that project were already completely aware of all of the situations that I could have potentially thought of because I allowed them to grow in that way. Because we did say, you are no longer a level 2 engineer, you're an automation engineer. Your job has changed. You are now responsible for making sure that this always keeps working. It was a complete mind shift set for them. They were like, hey, I no longer have to worry about all of this other innate bullshit that goes on with servers, clients, RMM. I don't want to worry about a fucking spam filter. I just want to automate the one thing that I'm here to fix. That made them scale so much faster. At that time, 15 years ago, we were about 1,000 endpoints. We didn't need automation. You know, 15 years ago, no one really needed automation. Everyone needed PowerShell scripts and a little bit of, well, you can't amaze them with your intelligence, dazzle them with bullshit. That's pretty much what we did for most clients. They didn't need it at that point. But building that foundation of an automation team that actually allowed them to work in a very different mindset than the rest of the company, allowed them to start accelerating so much. And I'm going to talk about the acceleration in a bit. One of the things was enticing people to actually build more automations was super simple. Because what is the one thing that engineers love more than anything? Does anyone want to take a guess? Raise your hand if you want to take a guess. Complain? Well, that's actually a really good one. Being lazy, by the way, is another really good one, but those are not the ones I'm looking for. What does an automation engineer love more than anything when he's just starting his career? Money. By the way, that one too, but we can't legally offer that to our employees. I didn't repeat it because I think this is being recorded. Anyway, bonuses. We actually started having internal bounty programs, and that actually caused the funniest thing. It caused so much jealousy in our company that the first thing that we heard from our level 1 engineers that came into the company was, hey, how long until I can become an automation engineer? Can I get on that team? I heard they're making money. To say it more like the millennials do these days, they make bank. I'm so old. It's so terrible because these guys actually talk like that all the time in my office, and I have no clue what they're saying anymore. It's so sad. Anyway, bonuses. Bonuses for small automations. And I'm talking about, you know what? If you finish this in a day, you'll get $50. Whew, that was such a bad motivator. So many shitty automations came out of that. It helped because in 2 years, our automation team grew because our level 1 engineers saw like, hey, those little bonuses, that means I can have an extra couple of beers, or that thing that someone else just shouted out. Like, hey, that can happen. We motivated them. We motivated them financially. We motivated them with little challenges internally. And suddenly, our level 1s wanted to become automation engineers, and the funniest thing happened. Over time, and I'm talking about a 2 or 3 year period, our growth accelerated. We got a couple of really new cool clients thanks to our sales department. And these guys, they were looking at us like, shit, now we actually do need to automate. Because we went from 1,000 to 2,000, 3,000 endpoints in a couple of years. How are we going to keep up with that scale? Well, that was the one thing that we didn't expect. Our level 1 engineers wanted to be automators so bad, they started studying automation in their spare time. And they became our next automation department. Instead of hiring at the top, as we're very used to doing as management, you get the best expert in the field and you hire him and spend a lot of money on recruiting him and wine and dine him and give him the one thing that the guy over there just said. By the way, making that joke twice didn't hit, huh? Anyway. And the most amazing thing happened because our level 1s were so motivated. We never had to hire an automation engineer again. All our level 1s became automation engineers thanks to internal education and motivation. And we just hired at the bottom instead. We kept filling our level 1s. And do you know how easy it is to find those? Cool recruitment technique. Go to your local university or school and hand out flyers. Do you want an automation job or do you want an IT job? Come to us. Works brilliantly. So we had all these automation engineers, and a good team started growing there. And we had another meeting. Does anyone want to guess what the title of that meeting was? No one? Come on, interactivity, guys. I know it's after lunch. Come on. Do we need to do another stretch? Hand up. Other hand. Wave them around like you just don't care. Gosh, you all look stupid. How the hell did we get here? And how do we get out? We had an automation team that was bigger than our level 1 and level 2 team. Shit. We fucked up. We were also very lucky that our sales team started to catch up and we started to be able to use all the automators. But when you want to scale your automation team, don't just hire blindly or don't just promote people blindly. Make sure that you actually have the space for them first. We always like hiring after the curve these days. What we were doing was we were hiring way before the curve on the straight road, and it was absolutely a terrible idea. We scaled from 3,000 endpoints at that time to 5,000 to 10,000. And when we reached 10,000, we noticed that it was no longer possible to just say to our automators, hey, go do this. It was no longer possible to say to our automators, go ask the department that you're working for today or the client that you're working for today what they want automated. They needed someone to start guiding them towards actual targets. They needed someone to steer them, but not control them. And of course, I did what any executive did. I hired a manager. Biggest mistake ever. In implementing a middle manager in an automation crew that is completely attuned to each other was the biggest mistake I've ever made. And that doesn't mean that he was a bad manager. It was just that this team already knew exactly what they needed to do and how they needed to get it done. They just needed some guidance. They just needed someone to put them on a path, not to control them, not to check on them, not to tell them to fill in their timesheet or to tell them to enter data into our ticketing system, because these guys, they didn't want to do that. They just wanted to make beautiful things. A manager in between was bothersome for them. So after a while, we asked them, because we noticed the manager wasn't getting the reception that he wanted. What do you guys actually want? One of the few times I actually talked to my employees and asked for their opinion. Don't do that, by the way. Terrible idea. They were like, we want more freedom. Like, what do you mean we want more freedom? We want more freedom to decide what's good for the company. That scared me a little, because I am an executive. I'm like, no, hold on. I'm the boss. You don't decide what's good for the company. Big mistake, of course. Like I said, we were fucking around and finding out all the time. These guys actually started thinking about what automation is suitable for everyone, for our clients. What automation is best to implement for ourselves? What is going to cover most time? What is going to fix everything? When I asked them in this meeting, why aren't you working good with your manager? They supplied me with a list of shit they wanted to do. First on the list was, oh, hey, you know that, did anyone here use RDS ever? Remote desktop services? Did anyone install Adobe on RDS? Did anyone try to print using Adobe on RDS? How much did it hurt? It was absolutely awful. And one of the first things on their list was, I want to fix that. I want to automate that shit away. I was like, holy crap, these guys have actually thought about what I wanted to do. And the scaling started happening more and more. It happened on its own as soon as we started asking them questions about what they actually wanted to do and what they thought was good for the business. And yeah, they needed some guidance. They needed guidance and help. But that guidance wasn't the manager. That guidance was, give me access to all the data we have, let me extract that data and react based on that. Not emotion, actual core hard data. And so here are some suggestions on things that you can actually do to kickstart your automation team, because you guys are not here to just listen to me talk about all this anecdotal stuff. I mean, I'm funny, I know, but there's a lot more stuff that you can actually do yourself to make sure that you kickstart your automation team in your company and make them scale. And one of them is to let them do their own thing. As detrimental as it sounds. How many of you are executives? Raise your hands. About half the room. How many of you are technical? It's funny that I'm getting a very unequal, so how many of you are finance or administration? Because not everyone was raising their hands. You think there'd be an equal split. When you are a technical person, as most of you are in this room, so that's why I'm starting with you guys, you want to perform good fixes. Actually, it is in your nature to want to fix immediately as a technical person. I know I am one. I'm also an idiot. Because sometimes you don't need to fix something immediately. You need to get to the root cause. How many of you have rebooted a server once and said it's fixed? Technical people, come on. Come on, don't lie. I've done the same, a million times, but that never is a root cause fix, right? A reboot is a reboot. It solves a temporary issue. Over time, the one thing that you can do as a technical person to help your company succeed and kickstart your own automation team is to start looking more at automation from the business perspective. And for the business leaders that are here, the executives and the people who are actually trying to educate their team, I'm giving you the exact opposite advice. Look at the problem from a technical perspective, because not everything is as challenging as you make it out to be because you have a business mindset. So many of the automations that I've wanted have failed because I went like, oh, we need to first do this, and ordered everyone to have all these prerequisites done first, because in my mind, that was needed. In my mind, I thought, we can't scale if we fix all of these other 10 things first, but an automator can just fix things. So it's trying to find the balance will help you kickstart your automation team. So that's a very soft thing, right? It's an emotional thing. Technical people, you all have no use for that at all. Here's some actual steps that you can do to kickstart your automation team in a way that you feel like you're getting more comfort. How many of you are actually an automation team and not just a lone automation engineer? That's quite a bit. That's amazing. All right, so one of the things that you can do today, and I love this one because this has actually increased education in our entire business so much, is perform a capture the flag event. A capture the flag event with like 10 things to automate just for the hell of it. Get your automators in a room. Tell them, guys, today you're not going to work. Today you're going to play a game. And the game is, I want you guys to automate something you've always wanted to automate. You know one of the funniest things that I've ever seen being automated? And this is actually a Roost thing. The Domino's pizza tracker. One of the first things that was presented on one of the open mics was a Domino's pizza tracker inside of Roost. Ask your team to just sit in a room together and be like, you know what? I bet you guys can't automate our curtains closing and opening every morning without getting any new equipment. And they start having to be creative. They go like, okay, the current curtains are just connected to this thing and connected to that, so maybe we can find some Bluetooth receiver that we already have and hook it up. And they start actually thinking very creatively for the entire day. They start actually looking at solutions within constraints. And actually my COO at Cyberdrain, Ashley Cooper, she's absolutely amazing about this. She often explains how people with constraints work so much better because when you are in a sort of temporary limited bubble, you need to use the resources you have at hand. And having those resources means being able to perform so much more with what you have and putting everyone in a room, performing a CTF. One of the things we did is our automation team, at the moment we started the CTFs, were about 10 employees. We put them all in a room and we gave them 5 different challenges. And we told them, pair up. Everyone gets their own challenge. They started working on it, and the first thing you notice when you stay in that room is they start talking about it as if it's just another technical solution. They start talking about it as if it's just a little like exercise, and they'll be done with it at the end of the day. But then the most amazing thing happens after an hour. One of the guys from Team A goes to one of the guys all across the room and goes like, hey, what challenge are you guys doing? And starts putting their papers together, and they start looking at them and they go like, hey, wait a minute. We're automating the same shit here. It's the exact same exercise, but it's just a different API. We can do this together. And they start teaming up. They start forming these deeper connections and explaining to each other how parts of this automation works. Because not everyone understands every single API or every single technical resource that is available to them. So they start talking amongst themselves a lot more, trying to solve these challenges. It is a team building exercise that actually results into getting better automators simply because they are educating each other. They are teaching the teacher. It's amazing. Another thing that you can do is getting people involved in exciting automations for themselves, not just for their workday. One of the things that we tell our engineers is that they get one day, one full day, 8 hours a month to work on their own automations. Play around with their automations, that mess with stuff. And that is actually so much fun for them because you get stuff like, oh, hey, I automated buying my video games. I automated buying that one thing that the guy showed out a little while ago. I can't keep making that joke. It's so bad. I hate myself. I'm sorry, guys. They start automating things that you wouldn't expect them to do. Okay, so 2 more quickly because I'm starting to run out of time. Making sure that you get process automation in place. Don't just automate the things that everyone likes automating because they're technical. Start asking your clients, Hey, when you're doing something during your day, ask the most important person at your client. Who knows who the most important person at their client is? Anyone raise your hands? No? No one? The receptionist. Absolutely the most important person in the entire company. Ask them, during your day, what do you do? What do you hate most? What's your biggest annoyance? And they fix that. They fix that by simply asking them what the problem is. It's often something absolutely tiny. When I come to my computer in the mornings and I start it up, there's a pop-up on my screen that I have to close first. When I have an Excel sheet, I always have to copy and paste these cells to this other Excel sheet and then to a Word file and then to a PowerPoint file because my CTO or CEO can only read PowerPoint files because he's a fucking idiot. I mean, it's the truth. I work a lot with venture capitalists and private equity. They're all idiots. Somehow you lose the ability to create a PDF when you are a C-level at a venture capitalist or a private equity firm. Like, it unlearns in your brain. Scaling comes with passion, but you have to actively build that automation culture. The things I just told you guys about is how you can actively build that culture. How you can make sure that your automators feel safe and at ease with everything that they're doing. Exercise with them, have fun with them. The only way you can get from where you are right now to 10,000, 100,000, 1 million endpoints is by having a lot of fun on the way. That was my presentation. Thank you all so much. Actually, hold on. I need to do one more exercise. Everyone get up. Everyone get up. Come on. You have to stand for this one. I understand you're tired. I understand it's been a long day, but you have to stand for this one. Okay, so stick out this hand. Stick out that hand. Thank you, thank you. I love a standing ovation.